Hi, how's everybody doing today? In this video, I just want to show you my bike collection. Thought you might like to see them. Uh, my, if you knew me in the 90s and anybody asks, what's Clint into? What do you like to do? Everybody would have told you bicycles. Um, I pretty much defined my life by bicycles. I was very into it. Um, I worked at a bike shop for 4 years. I was the sales manager of the bike shop, as well as I rode my bike everywhere. I didn't own a car. So I didn't have a car until I was 19, I believe, and or late 18. So I didn't drive, and I rode my bike everywhere. I just said, I don't need that. I'll just ride my bicycle. And I rode in some ridiculous weather too. Um, One day I rode to work. I worked at a recreation center. I was a lifeguard and a fitness trainer there, and the weather. I rode all winter. So this is Northeast Ohio. So we hit negative 21 degrees Fahrenheit one day, and I didn't have a car. I had to get to work, right? So I rode my bicycle there, and the news was telling you, don't go outside. Your skin will freeze instantly, and all this stuff. And I made it to work like 5 miles away, and I get there, not without incident too, by the way, because the chain froze, and the chain wouldn't make the turn through the derailleur very well. It would bunch up, and then my pedals would jam, and my headset froze, so I would steer, and then all of a sudden it would just freeze there, and I couldn't steer back, and I'd fall over. So I actually fell a few times on my way to work and back. But when I got there, it was closed due to extreme temperatures. They didn't tell me. This is 5:30 in the morning because I had to open the place, and I'm not the guy with the key though. So it was closed due to extreme temperatures. There's just a sign on the door, and I had to turn around and ride all the way home. I couldn't even get in to warm up, so that was fun, but I survived. The other thing I noticed on the way back home, nothing else was open either. McDonald's was closed. The convenience store was closed. Everything was closed due to extreme temperatures, so I could not warm up, and I had to get all the way home with a bike that the bearings kept freezing on. So anyway, if anybody wanted, if anybody thought that I wasn't serious about cycling, that you'd have been laughed at. Anyway, I was up to about 500 miles a week too in mileage on a road bike. I would always consider myself a roadie first. I rode BMX, I rode trials, which I've got a video of that ages ago. I've rode mountain bikes, but my number one love was always on the road. It was just about putting on miles and climbing hills, you know. But I always pictured Tour de France. I followed Greg LeMond. I followed Lance Armstrong then later, before all the scams. But anyway, let me show you the bikes before I go reminiscing for too long. So this is my Specialized. I always had kind of a love of Specialized. This is a S-Works road bike. This frame is what I would call Tour de France grade spec from the early 90s. Bike technology has moved on, and expense, that's for sure. Not that this was cheap, but it's cheap by today's Tour de France standards. I've always been a weight weenie, let's say, back then. So this is kind of my weight weenie bike. This bike weighs very little. It's like 15 and a half pounds, something like that. My concessions here for weight were the seat, because I'm getting old, my butt hurts, I don't ride that much, so my butt's not just conditioned like it used to be. So I put a Cell Italia rolls on. This is, by weight weenie standards, it's a tank, but I wanted the comfort. I had a video before where I put the bigger rear tire on because I have the back problem. I got a couple disc issues in my back, and I'm just trying to be able to ride. Um, if it's comfortable and I can ride it without my back killing me when I'm done, I'll go out more. If it's not, it sits in the garage and then I never take it out and I don't benefit from the fitness. But anyway, got the Look clipless pedals. I always like the looks. I have another pair in the basement actually that are lighter, but they're a polycarbonate body, so I'm going to wait until I get lighter. Otherwise you get more pedal flex in them. These are alloy. I got a profile carbon cage on it. This is a full Dura-Ace system from I think 90s with the hollow crank arm and Dura-Ace rear derailleur and brakes. And I was a big fan of Lance Armstrong back then when he was dominating everybody and American and the Tour. So I bought what he rode. In hindsight, probably a mistake because I spent a lot more on this bike than I should have. This bike was about $5,000 after I added up all the parts. So if you're going out for fitness and or commuting, or you want to put some miles on and lose the belly, you definitely don't need to spend $5,000. $700-800 will get you a bike that will do that. Just so you know, a nice quality machine. I could have got Shimano 105, but I came from a bike shop, so my standards were already like, oh, I can't have 105. Nowadays, 105 is absolutely perfect, probably just as good as this, just not quite as light. The STI shifters are awesome. I'm a hoods rider. Most of the time I'm on the brake hoods. I'll change it up to here just for a change of position. Then when I'm going down hills or sprinting, I'll get into the drops. But I got a 25 millimeter on the front. I think a 28 on the back. This is big that would fit within the chain stays. Not a lot of clearance. Bikes nowadays, I think, tend to have more clearance for that. But so that's the road bike. Okay, my next bike here is the Trek Excalibur 8. Following my philosophy that I spent way too much money on the road bike, I picked this one up with the more, it's not Shimano, but that kind of 105 level. Shimano goes, once they get into the good stuff, 105, Ultegra, Dura-Ace. So this is kind of that entry level to the good stuff, let's say. So it's not a featherweight, neither am I. If you look at a cyclist that's like a Cat 1 cyclist, they're going to be 40 pounds lighter than I am. So what difference does it make if I take a pound off my bicycle? That's kind of where I'm at. I'd like to take those 40 pounds off, then maybe it will make a difference, but right now, not really. So it's a 29er, 29-inch wheels, or they're also 700C. It's the same diameter, so it will fit more road-oriented tires, which is cool. So I can put a hybrid tire on, or tubeless, or whatever to get a more road-oriented ride. But I thought, well, the knobbies, that's going to be more of a workout. It's gonna, it's just resistance training. It's a way to not be on a stationary bike and have the scenery go by me. I always like the wind in my face and everything. I sweat like crazy, so if I'm on a stationary bike, I'll just drip sweat, and it's very boring for me. So I want to be outside on the parkway. I live only like a mile and a half from the parkway, so in Northeast Ohio we have this great parkway system that's, it's like 75 miles, and you can go a long way on there and just really relax and enjoy yourself. They've got a path and everything, or you can ride on the road. I'm mostly on the road unless I'm going slow, on a bike like this. But anyway, it's got the RockShox. I don't remember which one, but it locks out, so when you climb, you can lock that spring out. That's pretty cool. It's got the, forget what they call them, the trigger shifts on your thumb and forefinger, which I prefer over like a grip shift. I put one cage on it because usually my rides on this are 20 miles or less, and if I put a big bottle in, I'm just about out of that one bottle of water. But I am going to be doing a project with this one. So I got this thinking that the bigger tires and the bigger seat, it's going to be a softer ride than the road bike, but I was actually wrong because it has an aluminum seat post. This is a fat aluminum seat post, and that is a rigid setup. All the bumps just rigidly get delivered right to your spine. I got this Bike-Roo seat, which is like some kind of a gel seat, little fatter, and it's got a cutout in the middle. It's not my pelvis shape, let's say my sit bones. So I'm already going to swap this out, but I also want to raise the bars just a tiny bit, just to get the ergonomics a little bit more friendly on my back. So the first thing I'm doing is seat, and I'm going to a suspension seat post, which I'll show you in subsequent videos, but I'm going with a Brooks saddle. I'm trying to build like a commuter / touring bike out of a mountain bike, so I'm going to try to find out the best way to do that. So I got a Brooks saddle, which I've always wanted. I heard these are legendary for their comfort. I never got one because of their weight. They're like 400 grams or more, and that always was like, ugh, I gotta put that much weight on my bike. But now it's like I want the most comfortable thing possible, so I'm doing that. But I'll show you that in a new, another setup when I do the conversion. I'm also picked up a Cane Creek Thudbuster ST, the new one, with 50 millimeters of travel. So I got some suspension in the back because I bought a hardtail. The full suspension bikes were $1,000 more, and I was like, this is, or $1,500 more actually. Now that I think about it, I've ridden hardtail my whole life. I'll just get that. So it's better for touring anyway. So it's got the rack mounts with the rear suspension. I don't know how you would mount a rack to the chainstays and really carry some weight, but I want to put a rack system on here, trunk bag, maybe some fenders, and then some, I'm going tubeless on the tires. You can actually see the front tires are already flat. That's because this wheel isn't attached. I'm taking the wheels in today to the bike shop to go tubeless. It's a much lighter setup. It's faster rolling resistance and everything, and be able to put some miles on the commute. You're going to go with a pretty fat tire so that my bottom bracket height doesn't drop too much as well. So, okay, the next bike here, this is a few days later, but the next bike here is the Bianchi Eros. This guy right here. It has, this one's got a little bit of a weird story. A guy who was friends with my parents, was moving or something, didn't have space for it to store it where he was going, so he stored it at my parents' house, and then he passed away. So he didn't have any beneficiaries and nothing to do with it, so now I have it because they wanted it out of their garage. But it's a good bike for guests to take a ride on. So if somebody doesn't have a bike and they want to go on a bike ride with me, this is a great bike for that. I cruise around the neighborhood on it just to change it up, but it's a chromoly frame, double-butted chromoly. This is made in Italy. It's welded, not lugged. Chromoly frames were really comfortable, and I kind of miss that. Now the bikes are all so rigid. These large tube aluminum frames, they're so rigid. They transmit every bit of road and bumps into your body unless you take care of that with other means like suspension. But they want the bikes to be so stiff that they transmit all the power to the road. So I understand that, but there's something really nice about riding on a chromoly frame. They're a little bit heavier, but whatever. It has Campagnolo components, so it got Campagnolo, or as we used to call them, Cramp and Go Slow. Campagnolo was always more expensive. We were always Shimano riders, long time ago, back in the 90s. Now there's a lot of other brands. SRAM popped up, and a bunch of other, Race Face, and who knows what. But it's a smaller frame, So it's actually good for a shorter person or a girl. This is why I have the bars so raked forward and the seat all the way slid back, because for me it would be like this little cramped riding experience. But it came with a rack, and we used to think racks were kind of stupid in the in the heyday. We'd make fun of people with racks, but this is when we were serious, like we wanted to be racers. But now I actually think I'm going to put a rack on my other bike that I'm converting to a touring bike. But the cool thing is it came with this bag, and there's a button here. This is a Toe Peak pannier bag, and it fits the Toe Peak rack system, the MTX track. This one has an extra bottle holder, reflective strips all around it. But what's neat, well, I won't put it on yet. You can fit your lunch and everything in here, but it's also got the side panniers that unzip, so you can take a full couple days supplies worth of luggage here. There's a pocket up top, and there's an insulated trunk in here where you can keep your lunch and tools for the trail and all that kind of stuff. So now that since I'm overweight, I don't care that I have every gram off the bicycle. I'm over cycling weight, let's say. I'm down a little bit. I've been cutting, been fasting, but I got about 25 more pounds to go. Hoping to do that on the bicycle. Anyway, that's that bike. Okay, my last bike here is this. This is the bike that in 4th grade, BMX was huge. It was like you had the BMX Plus magazines. You'd go to the bike shop and you just stare at them and drool. But we could never afford stuff like this when I was a kid. So this is the bike, same color, same everything, just about as the one that I dreamt about in 4th grade or 5th grade. This is 1984. It was the bike to have. They had the Haro Master, they had the Haro Sport, the Freestyler, this one here. I liked the Haro Master had 2 top tubes, and they came apart and split all the way across, and I didn't like that design because there were these 2 skinny tubes all the way back. So I wanted the Sport, so you got a nice top tube, and then it split back here. I guess that's like a foot platform or something for some trick. I don't know. But in 2017, they remade it. So, you wouldn't want the 1984 bike now, because the technology has moved on. The cranks are so much stronger. They're using three-piece splined cranks. The dropouts are these chunky 1/4 inch or 3/8 steel. They're all chromoly steel. They're chrome in the rims. They're using more spokes. It's a lot nicer bike today. So they remade this in today's modern style and technology, I guess. It's the style of the 84 bike. So the white seat, white grips, white tires. You get the pegs with it, front and back. It's a Diacomp center pull, 990 rear brake. You get the new gyro. It looks just like it though. And it's the same paint job and everything, and it's coming from Haro. They call this the Lineage, Haro Lineage. So I saw it and I had to have it. I was like, oh man, that's the bike I never had, right? And I don't know what it is about BMX, and skateboards too. It brings nostalgia for me. So I've got a threadless headset. The bars are all painted to match, so these are really cool. And they seem to sell out quick because they're all gone. They did the Dennis McCoy bike, a few of the other guys, the famous riders. They did the Haro Master from back then. It's really kind of neat, but once they're gone, they're gone. And I figure it's just people like me in their 40s buying these things up. But I've never ridden this because I don't want to get the tires dirty. This is just an art piece in my little nostalgia room. I collect Lego sets, Rubik's cubes, and I have this bike in there, and skateboards. So some skateboards I never had. I wish I still had some things like my Ninja Turtles and my Transformers from back then, but as a kid, when you have a garage sale, it's like I can get $5 if I sell these things, and I can go buy candy. And we just put them for sale and sold them, unfortunately. But anyway, that's my Haro Sport. That's my bike collection. So hopefully I didn't ramble too long. I know this is probably a longer one, but I'm gonna have my mountain bike, touring bike conversion soon, because I am in the process of converting that into just a comfortable road going touring bike, basically, because I really don't ride off road that much. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good one.